The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild has received so much new information during Nintendo's Treehouse event at E3. And with this flood of new info, it's left Zelda fans speculating on where the game might fit in the timeline, including myself. Though, as we know, The Legend of Zelda's timeline isn't the most simple one out there. The timeline splits into 3 different eras after Ocarina of Time, which makes the possibilities of us pinpointing where it might stand 3 times as hard. So let's narrow it down a bit. As we know so far, Breath of the Wild has taken place in Hyrule, which is under attack by this great evil known as the Calamity of Ganon. The Calamity of Ganon has been sealed away in Hyrule Castle, and our hero Link awakens after being asleep for 100 years, and is tasked to save the land from the destruction of this great evil before it breaks from its seal and wreaks havoc on all of Hyrule. And already with this information, we know that this game will most likely be taking place after Ocarina of Time. Why, you may ask? Because this great evil is known as the Calamity Ganon. And Ganondorf's first appearance was in Ocarina of Time when he was turned into the Demon King Ganon. Now that still leaves us with 3 different timelines to speculate on where Breath of the Wild stands. In the hero's downfall timeline, Link fails to defeat Ganon. Thus, Ganon obtains the full Triforce, but is sealed away within the Dark World by Princess Zelda and the other awakened sages, taking the Triforce from him. And then from there on, Ganon is constantly revived, being resealed again and again by the spirit of the hero. This era of the timeline is by far the least coherent and doesn't seem like Nintendo really planned it out, which usually leaves fans, including myself, not to theorize too much about it, since it mainly consists of older Zelda games that don't really share much of a connection with one another. I feel like this era of the timeline was created to add all older Zelda games that didn't have a sequel or prequel in mind. It was just stopping Ganon time and time again. Though Breath of the Wild could possibly fit within this era, I find it more likely not to. In the child timeline era, after the events of Ocarina of Time, Link is sent back to warn Zelda about Ganondorf's evil schemes, resulting in his execution, though in Twilight Princess, the sages failed to execute him, sending him into the Twilight Realm. Ganondorf then teams up with Zant and escapes the realm, which he then faces his demise when Link defeats him by plunging the Master Sword into him. To no surprise, he is once again reincarnated hundreds of years later in Four Swords Adventures. But once again he is resealed, this time within the Fourth Sword. In Breath of the Wild, the Fourth Sword isn't mentioned, and we are shown the Master Sword, clearly being the sword we will use to defeat Ganon's spirit once more. So this might not be the timeline of Breath of the Wild either. The last timeline era we are left with is the adult timeline. This follows after Ocarina of Time, where the Hero of Time defeats Ganon but is sent back in time, leaving Hyrule without a hero. With no hero, Ganon manages to break free and take control of Hyrule, leaving the gods no choice but to flood it in order to stop Ganon. But even that wasn't enough to stop Ganon, breaking free from the ocean prison and searching for the bearer of the Triforce of Wisdom, Princess Zelda. During his search, he kidnaps Link's sister, which awakens him as the Hero of Wind to stop the Demon King once more. And once again, the spirit of the hero manages to defeat Ganon, thrusting the Master Sword into Ganondorf's forehead, turning him into stone and killing him. The King of Hyrule then wishes with the power of the Triforce to flood his kingdom, drowning himself along with Ganon's remains. He also wishes for a new hope, which is most likely New Hyrule that is shown in Spirit Tracks. But the question still remains, what happened to the flooded kingdom? Will it forever be forgotten under the ocean? Or is this the awakening of the return of the previous Hyrule? Now hear me out. I'm not jumping on the bandwagon along with everyone else because the game features Korok, which automatically means it's a sequel to Wind Waker. No. Granted, the Korok were known to take shape of humanoid children, which were known as the Kokiri in Ocarina of Time, though it doesn't mean because they're in their wooden Korok state that Breath of the Wild must be after the Wind Waker. This might just be the Korok's original state, and during Ocarina of Time, they might have taken shape as children to let Link fit into the forest. That, and they didn't need to fly, as they were tasked in the Wind Waker to plant trees all around the Great Sea. With that in mind, I still do believe the Korok in Breath of the Wild have some sort of connection with the Wind Waker, and that they are trying to spread more nature into the world of Hyrule, which makes sense for the game being called Breath of the Wild. Along with that, Breath of the Wild's Hyrule features tons of puddles and lakes, which could indicate that this is Hyrule after it was successfully drained from the flood that once covered it. And those are the remains of what's left. Also, it's worth noting the giant mountains Link is able to climb. These mountains could be what's left from the islands that once surfaced in the Wind Waker. This would also make sense in why Ganon has returned. With Hyrule drained of its flood, and the Master Sword relocated in a forest, as shown in a trailer, Ganon could have returned as some sort of dark spirit. And speaking of the Master Sword, it is shown all rusted. This could be the result of it being under the flood for so many years. The sword could have been resealed away after Hyrule was drained so that the hero, once reawoken, could claim it once more. Link also meets an old man after he is reawakened from the Shrine of Resurrection, and looking at this man, he resembles the King of Hyrule, Daphnis no Hansen Hyrule, which was the one who wished for his kingdom to be drowned. It wouldn't surprise me if somehow he survived all these years. I mean, he had the ability to turn into a talking boat, so this scenario isn't out of the ordinary. Now, with all that said, let's look at the visual aspects. The game is given cel-shaded graphics, which resemble a lot of the Wind Waker, and the two following games in its timeline. Link is also given a very similar tunic to Link's Outset Island clothes in the Wind Waker. And Breath of the Wild's Bokoblins seem to take a lot of inspiration from Wind Waker's Bokoblins, even with the search towers, looking for any threat coming their way. And last but not least, Link is guided by a voice that comes from an object you carry. In the Wind Waker, both Tetra, which was Zelda, and the King of Red Lions, which was the King of Hyrule, would speak to you via the Pirate's Charm, which was known to be an enhanced version of the Gossip Stone. The Gossip Stones are stones that reveal information to help Link on his journey. Now looking at the Gossip Stone, you'll notice it clearly relates to the Sheikah, with Skyward Sword having the Sheikah Stones serving the same function. In Breath of the Wild, Link is given a Sheikah Slate, which serves the same use as the Pirate's Charm, as well as a bunch of other abilities. But my point here is, the Pirate's Charm and the Sheikah Slate are very similar and both relate to the Sheikah. The Sheikah Slate could be an advanced version of what the Pirate's Charm could do. It also allows that disembodied voice, which is most likely Zelda, to communicate with Link, since Link seems to have lost his memory and must reawaken as the hero once more. Could this be the same Tetra or Zelda that is trying to speak to Link again? I can't help but see so many similarities that both Breath of the Wild and the Wind Waker share. So this might just be a sequel that falls within the adult timeline. But that's just my theory on all of this. Let me know what you guys think of my theory and what are yours. Anyways, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if so, be sure to leave a like. Anyways, I've been ZeldaMaster, thank you all so much for watching this video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!